Welcome to the podcast Running Toward. This podcast tells stories of ordinary people who couldn't look away once they saw the hidden crisis in foster care and the families impacted. Our guests share heartbreak that led them to take reluctant and unexpected small, faithful steps toward the most vulnerable in their communities. Not because they had a plan, and not because they felt ready, but because they couldn't unsee their pain. You'll hear how people living normal lives discovered that getting closer changed them. Their comfort mattered less, their grip on uncertainty faded, and their faith got feet in quiet, everyday ways. Ending the crisis for one or for all isn't a quick fix. It's a long, slow, often messy journey alongside one of the most overlooked and misunderstood groups in our community. Running Toward gives you a front row seat to the hidden crisis in foster care and the families impacted, and to the ordinary people who choose not to look away. Hey, welcome back to the Running Towards podcast. Today we have my friend and teammate Catalina here to share her foster journey and a new perspective, again, with somebody who didn't grow up around formal foster care because she didn't grow up in the United States. Had an experience in another country of just, kind of family taking care of family, heard about that, and then here learned about what we call here in the U.S. the foster care system and just kind of her journey into it. So, Catalina, thanks for being here today. She's super nervous, y'all. You got to be really nice to her.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So we'll just start. Easy question. Tell me about a Tuesday in the Almanza home. Tell us about your family, your husband, kind of what you guys like to do.
Okay. Well, we're a small family of 3. My husband, he works from home for a corporation. And normal Tuesday, wake up super early. He starts getting the coffee ready and stuff like that.
Good husband.
Brings the coffee to me to start waking me up. That's amazing. And from there, on Tuesdays, I get ready for team meeting.
That's right.
And so that's what I do. And Melody, our daughter, she's going to be 16, and she has been homeschooled for the last few months. And so she gets up a little later than us and starts just going with what she does. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So your journey into foster care was not because you had really heard about foster care per se, but you had family that just did this informally. So Tell me a little bit about what you heard, grandparents and aunts and just kind of the culture that actually was foster care but didn't have that label.
Right. So my maternal grandma, I never got the blessing to meet her in person. She passed away when my mom was 15. But when we started getting information about fostering, I mentioned it to my mom. And my mom said, well, that's what grandma used to do in Colombia. And I said, wait, what? And that was literally how I found out, that she used to, she signed up back then with a program with the government to receive children in her home. Based on the need. And my mom just remembers growing up with different children in their house, in their home. My grandma received siblings because she didn't want them to be separated. Right. And so my mom remembers always being 2, and that was a small house. They had like a 2-bedroom home. Yeah. And she said, and all of us girls were in one room. Then we put a bed bank next to us, and that's how she remembers having children next to her until my grandma got really sick and she passed away. Yeah.
So kind of a legacy that you didn't actually know about that had been happening. So what kind of led you guys, you and your husband, Robert, into this space?
To be honest, we had some fertility issues after a couple years of being married, and we couldn't conceive. After a lot of medical tests and appointments, we were told there's no way you guys are going to be able to have children on your own. It's going to have to be in vitro. Back then we were like, sure, we cannot afford that. And so we talked to our family, and they said, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just let's trust in the Lord, and if He wants you to have children, He will do it. And we said, okay, let's trust in God. And a couple months after, we ended up being pregnant with Melody.
Surprise.
Yeah. But always wanting to have more children, right?
Yeah.
That was the desire. I grew up in a home. I'm the oldest out of 3.
Yeah.
So I always wanted siblings for my daughter. And Robert is 1 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're like, we want more.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. We did one try of in vitro and it failed. And one day someone mentioned something about fostering and the opportunity to adopt through fostering.
Yeah.
That's how we started
That's
Googling.
So tell me about the pink room.
The pink room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, we were in Florida, and one of our Facebook friends, you have a lot of friends on Facebook. I saw a picture, and it was a pink room, very beautiful. And she put something like, we're ready for the girl that will come into our house, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what is she doing? And I reached out to her through Messenger, and I said, hey, what is that about? And she said, well, we're in we just finished the process and got certified to foster. And I said, tell me more about it.
Yeah.
And she said, look, this is the agency that we went through. This is what we did. Just look it up and let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah.
That's how I remember. That's how everything started.
Yeah.
I just started Googling.
So did you find some agencies and go check them out?
I did. I found a few. I just kind of like said agencies, foster care agencies in San Antonio. I think that's what I did. We already knew we were coming back. Moving back. We were in the process of buying a home. And I saw a few. I think I sent some, like an inquiry form or something like that. And I believe there was one that reached out. And they invited us to an info meeting. And from there, we ended up going to like 3 different info meetings that I can remember.
Yeah.
Honestly, there are a lot of times, a lot of that season for me is kind of blurry a little bit. But that's what I remember we did.
So in the info meetings, do you remember anything that kind of just sat with you and stuck with you, either good or bad, where you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do, or you're like, whoa, I just didn't know that was a part of it. I'm out.
It was overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The language, right? Everything was like, wait, caseworkers, case managers, the system,
all the
everything.
acronyms, so many acronyms.
Yeah. And for me, honestly, also just coming from Colombia, everything is just so different.
Yeah.
That just kind of like trying to understand all of that. And I mean, the videos, that they play during the info meetings.
The best of the 90s.
Yeah. Heartbreaking and just very, very touched and very, I just remember coming out of those info meetings with my husband with heavy hearts.
Yeah.
Just very heavy.
Heavy as in inspired to do something, or heavy as in this is too much?
Heavy as, no, inspired to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And just with the expectation, if I may say that, that maybe this is the way that God is going to give us more children.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's.
So in those info meetings, do you ever remember them saying anything about biological family or how that all plays out in the system and the relationship or lack thereof? Or
I don't remember 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a lot and I don't ever remember that being a part of the conversation.
I don't think there is enough information or information that is shared about the biological families. I think for me, I don't know if it was because of who I was or who I am, my personality, or, that you just create this wrong image of the biological families, because by then I was already a mom and we struggled so much to have children. And I was just like, how is it that this is happening? Like, how can you give give up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the way I was
Yeah.
seeing it at that moment, and I just couldn't understand.
Yeah. I mean, I've shared on a previous podcast about my journey and how I went from completely judgmental to like,
Right.
oh my gosh, now I have empathy and compassion and I see you in a different way. And I think for a lot, and we've had several podcast people, same journey. It was easy to have an opinion when you were this far away from people.
Right.
And then when you got close to them, then you're like, ooh, well, maybe I wasn't
Right.
looking at this thing the right way. So as you and Robert got into fostering, did your view of biological family change?
I don't think that helped, to be honest.
Yeah.
The two cases that we had, both cases, the parents were dealing with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, the way I grew up, and I don't think Robert, we were never really close or exposed
Mm-hmm.
to someone with dealing with addiction, and so it's not really easy to understand someone that is going through addiction. I grew up in a Christian home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, is sometimes I think I can be like, no, like this is what God says, and it's either is black or white. And so I think I can be a little bit like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And both of our cases, it was, one was the baby was born and tested positive for all kind of stuff, and the second case they were pulled out as an emergency placement because of meth.
Mm-hmm.
They were cooking meth in the home where they lived, and it's something that, as much training as you get to right, there's no way I can explain to anybody how that feels like, or I just couldn't understand. I never got to meet any, like, their parents in person. Only the first placement, the day before he was taken back to the family, I got to meet the biological dad.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of the CPS office, and he just looked at me and he said, "Thank you so much for protecting my boy." And that day I was like, he's not a bad person. That was the only encounter I had. So I think it's been a process. Definitely joined the alliance has helped me a lot. I've grown a lot, seeing what you have said about biological parents and families and the other coworkers as well. It has taken me to a definitely different place.
It is. It's one of the things we've talked about before. We've talked about in team meeting, like we're meeting them in their worst chapter, on their worst day in general, and we know the worst things about them a lot of the time as foster parents. And we have to take all of that in and then see what it's done to a little person or a child or even a teenager, and then take them into our home and deal with all the aftermath of the trauma. And that's what, even with my story and several others, you don't appreciate, you it's easier to be angry at them until you realize, oh, wait, they were that 5-year-old 20 years ago and nobody took care of them. And so, of course, they repeated the cycle.
Exactly.
And that's the brokenness that is the generational cycle in foster care that you get to see once you get close enough to it. And it's even more heartbreaking than just the child that's in your home, because you can see that mom or that dad who this is not what they dreamed of when they thought about having babies. They weren't like, you know what's going to happen? I hope I'm addicted to drugs at that time. I'm open with a guy that's, beating me up and that wasn't their plan.
Right.
And yet that's where they ended up.
Yeah.
Oftentimes because of what was done to them.
Right. Yeah. It's just heartbreaking.
So tell me about your first placement. How was that experience? Take me back to like the nerves, they drop the little kid off and then they're like, sign the papers and we're out. Good luck.
Right. So we got certified that year in December. I believe we received the certification on December 29th. And then we got a call on the 30th.
Yeah. next day.
That was super quick. And they said, look, there is a baby. He's about to be discharged from the hospital. He has been hospitalized for a month, but he's at a good place now that he can be discharged. The agency mentioned at that moment that they had just called another family that she was a nurse and he was, I think, a doctor. And then she said, but they think it's going to be too much for them. And I said, if it's too much for them, I am like, wait a minute, like, am I going to need any type of equipment at home? Like, I didn't do that training. That's what I think I said. And they said, no equipment. He's not going to need anything extra. Just he's going to be on a very strong medicine that needs to be given to him at the right times. But the hospital, the nurses are requesting for the potential foster parents to come and meet the baby at the hospital and spend time with him and see if you guys
think you can do it
already. I'm more of, I analyze things a lot before I make a decision. Robert as well, but he is more like, well, we trained for this. This is why we did this. No, like for him it's like, what are we thinking about? Yeah. And so of course you only have a few minutes to think about it, and then you receive the email, right? Like for more info. And we said, okay, we're going to the hospital to meet baby. We got to the hospital and my goodness, we fell in love. We fell in love with him. He was a very sweet baby. Yeah. He had been there for a month already. So it was amazing because all of the nurses love him so much. Yeah. They said he is such a easy baby. They had him on a routine already, like perfect routine, right? Every 2 hours eating, this and that, the diaper, like, and they were just all very overprotective with the baby. So we met him the day of course, it was a yes for us. Yeah. And they said, okay, be ready to pick him up on January 1st. And we did. We signed everything that we needed, started saying, hey, we're going to get a baby in the house. We don't have anything in the house that is for a baby. Nothing. Yeah. So all of a sudden, we just started getting phone calls and people, I don't even remember how many people reached out to us. Saying, hey, I have a crib. I have this. I have a dresser. I have diapers. I have... Our house changed from 1 minute to the... Because even though they're this big, they consume your entire house with all the things. Yeah. And that's how that happened. We went with Melody and picked him up at the hospital. It was such a lot of emotions coming out of the hospital. Yeah. With a car seat and a little bitty baby in our car. Yeah. And to like, I don't know how this is going to play out. Right. Yeah. No idea. Yeah. Yeah. He was adorable. He was, we fell in love. Yeah. Right. So how long did y'all have him? He was with us from January until March 10th. He had a lot of things that needed to still, like doctor's appointments and all follow-ups and things. And I remember on our way to the hospital to one of his appointments, we got a call from our agency saying, hey, there is a family member, great aunt, that showed up and she said that she can take care of him. And so the case worker is going to be at your house on Wednesday to pick him up. It was literally 5 days. Yeah. And sometimes you don't even get that much notice. I've heard. And I think that's where I think the system, like, I get the point. Yes, they should go with relatives if there's a suitable relative for sure, but they don't think about the transition and doing the transition well. Right. For the child mostly, but also for the foster family that you want to stay in the game. Yeah. And if you just, treat it like an Amazon package that you're moving from one location to the next,
it's not good. It's not healthy for the child because they
Right.
bonded with you for 3 months. And then it's also not good for the foster family because then it just creates this angst of like,
100%.
when is anything going to happen? When is anything
Yeah.
going to change? Instead of knowing that there'll be conversation and there'll be a ramp for, and maybe even a meeting and like, hey, he's a
Right.
very fragile little guy. Here's
Yeah.
his schedule. Here's his
To get to explain.
preferences. And
Yeah.
this is how we get him to sleep and this is how he
Yeah.
eats. And
Yeah, it was definitely, with him from the beginning, the caseworker that was assigned to him, I remember getting a call from her a couple days after we got him saying, I'm sorry, like today is my last day, so you will get someone else assigned. And I was, again, for me, it was like, wait, who was that? Like,
Yeah.
I got so many calls and things about him that I was confused. I never really, I guess that was the caseworker. Right. But we didn't really get to meet someone after her. And then every time we had to take him for a visitation, the parents never showed up. Right. And so I think all of that was for us in our ignorance.
Yeah.
Building up to maybe he will be ours.
Yeah.
We will have the opportunity to adopt him because we didn't had a lot of information.
Yeah.
Because there was really not even like a caseworker.
Yeah.
And so all we knew is what we were going through and seeing, and okay, nobody's showing up for visitations.
Right. Yeah.
The dad was at that moment also waiting for DNA.
Yeah. So didn't even know if he was actually the dad.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't showing up because of the same reason. And so just all of a sudden to get this call, and they said, and she, of course we asked, and she is willing to adopt him because right. And it was the first time that someone from the family during that season kind of like said, hey, I can do it. Right. And she also had like an 11-year-old back then and a 2-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And I said,
and she was how old? Probably older. Great aunt.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's the, if anybody's listening that has power in this thing, this is a way that you can really change the foster care system. Is those transition periods are done so poorly, so poorly. Even when they're necessary, even when that's the right thing, they're still done so poorly that it leaves carnage on both sides of the table.
Yes, the lady that showed up that day, I felt so bad for her because she said, I'm sorry, it's my first day.
Oh, gosh.
And I said, do you even know about him? What do you know about him? And I was like that day. I mean, the last few days packing and getting everything ready, I've never felt like, I have not lost a child. Right. But the feeling I had during those days having to pack everything for him and at the same time trying to explain to my daughter what was coming up, it was really difficult. And so when she shows up, and I'm a person that I take notes and I write down step 1, step 2, step right. And all of his routine, like we had it down, like from the day the nurses gave us, everything. And I was like, what do you know about him?
Yeah.
And she looked so overwhelmed, so lost. I just remember saying, look, here's my number. This is my information. Please tell the family member that is taking him that she can reach out to me for any questions, because I was so worried about his medicine, about everything that he needed. And she's like, okay, sure. She took him, and I got a call an hour after, like an hour and a half from the great aunt, freaking out over the phone.
I'm sure.
Freaking out.
Yeah.
Kind of like saying,
because she probably got very little.
Into.
She probably got very little information about him too, other than, hey,
she's like,
your nephews and
what is about this medicine that I can't touch it with my bare hands, that I have to wear gloves for? Like she was completely, and that just didn't help me. Like I was so anxious and like just I couldn't control myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was just crying, but at the same time trying, okay, I don't want to scare her, right?
Yeah.
Control yourself, Catalina. Just help her, right? And guide her. But she was so lost and
Yeah.
confused as well. Like she's like, wait, and what time is it? I'm like, I wrote everything down. Did
Yeah.
you get it? And I don't even think she did. Like it was
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah. That is a piece that definitely has to change if they want to have better outcomes.
Yeah.
And I think the other piece that I don't remember going through learning in foster parent training was the ambiguous loss. It's like a term I didn't know, but it's the loss, the not knowing loss. Like when somebody dies, then you can process it, grieve it, like you know what has happened, you know the end. But for foster families, when a child leaves, you have no idea. I mean, short of maybe you have a relationship and they'll shoot you a few pictures every once in a while, but this child that you've raised that, you know, some people thought, well, it seems like we'll probably adopt. So you like give your heart all in.
Right.
And then they leave and you're like, I don't even know how he's doing right now. Like that's that ambiguous loss term. I think that also needs to be talked about more and more and help families process that.
Yeah. And make foster parents and families understand that I think I was feeling bad about what I was feeling. I didn't think I had
You didn't think you had the
right to feel like I was grieving. And I remember like, why am I feeling like this? Like I need to be strong for my daughter because she wasn't taking it well. She came home that day from school saying, where is he at? Is he gone? We had said, talked to her the day before. She wanted to stay home, but I said, no, please go to school. Just please. And she couldn't really understand. And I was just trying to, what is this that I'm feeling? Like I couldn't even go into the room that was his nursery. Like I was very overwhelmed and confused. Robert as well. We had started juicing a couple of days before that. And it took everything from us because Robert's like, I wish we could go out and eat something.
Medicate
right?
with food.
And, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, right? But it was just feeling that we were in the house in the silence and seeing all the baby stuff around you, but no babies.
Yeah.
And not knowing that you had the right to grieve and that we didn't know that.
So did you have community around you at that time? Any other foster parents that could tell you, hey, it's okay. You can grieve. We'll walk with you in this. Yeah.
I wish we did, but we didn't. We didn't know anyone at that moment that was going through it. The friend that I had seen the post and all that about that she ended up being pregnant, and so she had to put a pause on fostering, and so she wasn't really doing
didn't know
it
either. Yeah.
And because we had just moved back from Florida, we were not really like established at a church either, and it was during COVID as well, and so that played. It was a lot different factors that we didn't know anyone.
So then what do you do after that? Take a break? Tell them we need to grieve, we need to heal. Did you go right back into it?
Once again, I think I remember the agency, they did ask us, right? Like it was a call and it was like, how are you guys doing? Do you want to take a break or do you want to keep going? I think that was the question.
Yeah.
And I think I felt at that moment like, can we take a break? Is that allowed?
Yeah.
You know, I'm a rule follower. I'm like, am I allowed to do that? But wait, we signed up for this. And then once again, my husband, he had a second job back then. And I remember calling him and saying, what are we doing? Are we taking a break? Well, why? Like, everyone
See,
just
and I do think it's a lot of the guys. The guys are black. They're like, we signed up to do it. We should do it. And like, I don't know. I think us moms are like, we need a little more. We need more of a minute.
Right. And I wish I would have listened to that.
Yeah.
Right. But then at the same time, it's a weird feeling because you feel also the pressure, right? From the phone call.
Yeah, because there's more kids that need you.
Because there's a need.
Yeah.
And so when you know there's a need, and so you're like, well, like I can stop. I need to push through, right? And I have gone through different medical challenges throughout my life that I think I have pushed myself really hard to say, you're in pain, keep going. Keep going, Catalina. Keep pushing through. I had several hip surgeries since I was 16. And I just remember moments that I was laying in bed and in so much pain and crying and saying, God, I need your help. I need your strength. And don't complain.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing. My parents will come. Are you good? Are you okay? I'm good. Everything is okay. And keep pushing.
Yeah.
Because that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do.
So you did that in foster care too?
And so I said, no, we were going to keep going.
Yeah.
And 2 days after, we got a call for an emergency placement.
Yeah, you didn't even get to catch your breath.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's the other thing especially with agencies and new foster families, when you don't know what you don't know, that's what your agency is supposed to be there for. And for them to be able to go, you're going to take a month.
Right.
You're just going to take a month and then we'll circle back with you. And almost giving you permission. You would have been like, okay, I do need that.
Yeah, they're telling me to take a break.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then you come back to it in a better headspace. Because you're not still grieving the first child, taking on the next child with all the stuff that they're coming in. Plus those first few weeks are just like crazy town because you got all the visits and all the new people and new routine and new schedule. So I think that's another space where we need agencies to really step up and
sometimes make the decision
for you.
I would have. I think that was needed for me.
Yeah. So did you find support?
So after the second placement, it was a set of siblings. It was a 6-month-old baby girl and a 1.5-year boy. They were coming from out of San Antonio. They got into our house that day, I think around midnight, that Friday. And I just remember a few things from that day. One of the things, the caseworker, she brought everything inside the house in black plastic bags. And when she was leaving, she's like, if I was you, I wouldn't open any of that or even touch it because this was a meth house. And I just looked at her like, then why did you bring that inside my house?
Yeah.
If all of that is, all of their stuff, right, you should have told me. And I would have just opened my garage and an extra bag and leave it there.
Yeah.
And then, I don't even wash the stuff on your washing machine. Like things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know, honestly. Robert either. And so we were like, scary. Okay, so let's put on some gloves and extra bags and take everything out. So we can't use any of their belongings.
Yeah.
So next day, go to foster closet and get some clothes, some things for them. We had done a run to Walmart a couple hours before they showed up with Melody to buy some clothes and some formula and some things. And so from the beginning was very, very different than what our first placement.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Where you got instruction and people love them.
And baby was super calm, well behaved. Yeah.
Babies that have been exposed to meth are not going to be anywhere near that.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
Yeah.
And so the case manager from the agency, she was going more often to our house and talking to us a lot more, and I was just being very honest. Hey, this is rough. The baby's not sleeping. Baby's not taking naps. She eats, and then all of a sudden she's throwing up. And I don't know what to do. Like, what is this? Do I need to tell the doctor? Is this... I had no idea. They were like in withdrawal.
Yeah.
Nobody said that. I asked the doctor and he said, no, they're okay.
Oh.
And I was like, this is not okay. She's a 6-month-old baby. She's not taking naps.
Yeah.
He's not taking naps either. It's a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, a lot of... I'm like, this is not normal.
Yeah, because ultimately they'd been high for the majority of their life.
Right. They send us to do that test.
Because if you can't even open the bags, then for sure it's in their system.
Right. And those are just things that... Well, I think I'm a slow processor, and so I just didn't realize.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And so we were like, okay, if the doctor is saying they're okay, then they're okay. And the case manager said one day, look, I'm going to get you in contact with this foster mom. She has a foster support group. It's really close by. And I think it will be amazing for y'all to go. And that's how I met Brittany.
Yep. And yeah, we've had Brittany on the show and everybody kind of got a glimpse of her story. But yeah, Brittany was the one who we like begged to start a ministry at her church. And she was like, what? I'm not doing this. And then she ends up being your lifeline because she was obedient to stepping into something that she felt unworthy, unequipped to take care of. And yet it was a lifeline for y'all's family.
Yes. Yeah. So I reached out immediately and she said, hey, we have group this day at this time. And I said, Robert, we're going. We need this. Yeah. I was looking for help for Melody. Yeah. For us. Melody wasn't processing well. She had baby's picture on her phone. And she just kept saying, wait a minute, if these babies are here and if the other baby needs us and he needs to come back, then we're not available. So they need to go so we can get baby back. And it was so much trying to manage everything. And then Robert with his second job.
And you're not sleeping because they're not sleeping.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not resting at all. And I had also a lot of different medical issues going on that I had been postponing for a long time. And the day we went to foster group, I don't know how they saw us, right? But I just think I remember being very overwhelmed, exhausted, crying. And for all of them to have so much love, compassion, the way they were looking at us.
Because they had all had that day.
Right.
They all had that day.
I was like, I'm not going crazy. All of this time, I thought I'm just going crazy. And seeing them, I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for them. Most of them that day, they offered to, we can babysit for you. I'm like, wait, what? What is that? Can we do that? Yeah. Is that really what?
Yeah.
It was a blessing.
It is vital to have community when you're fostering. It's like it's non-negotiable. You can't do it alone because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And there's no way they can teach you all the things in the classes. And even if they did, you're not going to remember all of it.
It's mentioned.
So much information. There's no way you're going to remember it. And so to have people that you can walk alongside and go, am I crazy? And they're like, no, I was just that way 6 months ago.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To be able to relate.
Then you can like breathe and be like, okay, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm normal. This is just really hard.
Definitely. And they offer like for their children to be able to hang out with Melody because some of them were around the same age. Right. And I was just looking for ways to help her also navigate what she was feeling and everything she was going through, right? And us, right, being able to to understand a little more or to know how to navigate that season, because we did feel like we were just drowning.
Because you were. Yeah, you were.
We were.
And I think that's a piece too with the foster siblings or the kids that are in the home, whether they're biological or adopted. There's a piece where they just kind of get swept in, and because we're all, mind spinning and we've got all these balls we're juggling. And on some level, sometimes we forget that they didn't sign up for it. And most of them are, they're all in when we're all in, but they're also processing all the things too. And like you said, you were trying to process your stuff. You didn't know how to help her process her stuff. And then you're feeling the pressure of like, well, we signed up. I guess we should go again. And nobody's giving you permission to like, no.
To know.
Yeah.
Take a pause.
Take a pause.
Think, take that time for yourself. I start seeing, again, for Melody, it was just so rough. There were things that she started locking herself in her room, things that she's never done before. And so now is the concern as a mom. I'm failing my daughter.
Yeah.
I am not doing, what did I do? This was not what we expected or what we wanted. And then seeing her in such a difficult place and not being able to help her. Also because the daily routine was just insane. We couldn't have a break. Robert had to obviously quit his second job because I said, no, that's ending. It's not happening. I'm not doing this. There's no way I can. And so we had to literally, okay, you take the boy, I take the two girls, like things like that. Okay, Melody, come on, help me with the baby girl. She had a little bit of a better connection with the baby girl. And so she was down for sometimes helping me with bath time or bottle or and so most of the time Robert will clock out of his computer and I'm like, okay, you're it. The boy,
you're on.
the little boy, he was very active and all over the place, trying to climb our walls and knock down the baby monitors and whatnot. And for me, didn't know what was happening.
Because you're an instant mom to a drug exposed little guy who has a lot of pent up energy and not a lot of none executive function because he's tiny. And that's just it's a chaotic combination at best. So, you said coming into it that you hadn't really given a lot of thought to biological family. And then even as you fostered and then, one went back to relatives, and did your view, and then I'm being on our team, has your view of biological family changed over the years?
I wouldn't say it has, but in all honesty, it's been recent since I joined the Alliance. I joined the Alliance in 2024. And when I started hearing all of the different testimonies and stories from everyone on the team, and then from the Alliance Prevention Network, I feel that's when God started working in my heart. And not that I wasn't compassionate, right? Because I don't think I'm that way.
You're not. You're very nice.
And so I can be radical for a lot of the things that I believe. And hearing everything since I joined the Alliance, that has definitely just made me have more compassion and thinking about reunification as God's original purpose or design, right? The way our first placement, he he only lasted 1 month with the person that said she was willing to adopt him.
Oh.
She was overwhelmed. And he ended up going with paternal grandparents after DNA was...
They were actually
right.
the grandparents.
And
Yeah.
so they said, okay, then
Yeah.
we're taking over.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful because we are connected.
Oh.
And Grandma is always sending us pictures. She invited us to his first birthday, baptism.
Oh.
They're beautiful
What a
family.
gift. Yeah.
So get to go over there to their house and see them and meet them and see what a beautiful family.
Do you think that helped Melody in her grieving?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. To get pictures of baby, to get videos.
Because it takes away that ambiguous loss. Because now you're like, okay, even if he's not with us, at least he's okay.
Yeah. Seeing him healthy, seeing him doing well, surrounded by his cousins. He has so many cousins. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the first day that we got to see him after he had left our home, he like stretched his arms to Melody.
Oh,
she was just
melted.
Like, oh my God. She said, you think he remembers me? I'm like, baby, talk to him. He might recognize your voice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been beautiful. He's already 5 and we still get pictures. And
that's so
get
great.
to see him, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what our last guest, Robin, the podcast right before this one, she is an adoptee herself, and she said, you never can have too many people loving a child. So, grandparents, former foster family, like you can just never have too many people love on a kid. And it's so great that they were open to that and willing, because it's a blessing to them and really to him too.
Yes, I'm so grateful.
And
for
healing
that.
for you guys.
Yes, definitely.
Huge.
It was very... It gave our heart so much peace to see him again and to see him well, and to see how loved he is. And they were all, the day they all met us, they were so grateful.
Oh.
And to the point that you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
that's great.
What you guys did? And I've never been good with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful connection.
That's awesome. So, is your foster journey over? Or you feel like there's more in the future for y'all?
So that was a question that I've had since the second placement left. And somehow, somewhere in there, after they left, I went through a lot of different medical situations. And in less than... in a year and a few months, after they left, I had about 5 different procedures and things that, once again, like if you don't stop, then there are things that are gonna, that force you to stop.
Yeah.
And
sometimes the Lord has to, us hard-headed ones, he's like, okay, if you're not gonna choose to stop, I'm gonna help you make this decision.
And, a week after I had a procedure, 8 months after another one, my appendix ruptured.
Yeah.
Then after that, another surgery. And then I had hip replacement surgery because I've been already in 14 years over that, like with so much pain that I knew I needed to take care of all that. And I think during that season, I kind of like, I'm an introvert and I clam up. And I don't like to speak about my pain. I just need to keep moving forward. And I think thinking I needed to protect my daughter as well, right? But I know God was working in my life during all this time. And it's still in my heart. Every time I would hear at church about fostering, I would be just like, oh my heart, God, if I'm not gonna be able to open my house, I need you to show me a way that I can continue to be involved in the space. And how can I help? What can I do? And breaking that mentality of the only way you can help in foster care is open your house. That's
Right.
the only way.
Yeah. And it's not.
And it's not. And so my sweet friend Brittany once again comes into the picture. One day, she saw I liked a post that she did on Facebook, and she reached out seconds after, and she said, "Hey, I saw you like the picture of my team or the organization that I'm with, or something like that." And she said, "We're looking for someone bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
So would you please pray?" And I said, "Don't ask." You know what that means. And I knew I had been praying.
Yeah.
Okay, God, what do you want me to do? Because I know we're not done.
Yeah.
And if that means it's going to be in a different way, I need you to show me. Because I want to serve you and I want to do it. I just don't know how.
Yeah.
And after talking and praying, and we felt, okay, this is the next step.
Yep. And now you get to serve on our team and
Yes.
have been able to mobilize so many Spanish-speaking congregations to serve relative caregivers, to serve as fostering, to become mentor families, like so many different ways that you've mobilized a community that we couldn't reach before. And so it's been super exciting having you step into obedience, even though I'm sure you were like arguing with yourself the whole way over to the interview.
Yes.
But it has been really cool to see God use your gifts, your talents, your, just your whole journey to then be in a really unique time right now when we're really mobilizing all the church, which we couldn't reach all of the church here in San Antonio before you came on our team. So
yes, it's been beautiful, and I am very grateful for the opportunity and for joining an amazing team. I've learned so much from each person. I definitely know that my journey and the way a lot of things I thought about fostering, and a lot of pain still that I had. There was a side of me that I knew I needed to do it because I knew that was God's answer. But again, it's like, okay, you need to be obedient. And it's that obedience, knowing like this is gonna stir a lot of things I pushed down.
And we were going to stretch you and make you publicly speak and come on podcasts and all the
like,
things
Lord,
that you...
I did not sign up for this. You didn't tell me. This was...
Yeah, no. He only illuminates one step because you would have said no if you knew all the other ones.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap up. And I want the last thing for you just to talk to that person that was like you, that goes into fostering and has a hard case, and they're thinking, should I keep going or should I take a break? And what is this feeling I'm having? Like, what would you have wanted somebody to sit across from the table and tell you in that season?
Definitely take the break. If that's what you're feeling, that's the Holy Spirit talking to yourself. Don't silence His voice. In the middle of our obedience, we also need to make sure that we are really listening to God's voice. And we tend to react quick because there is a need. There's always going to be a need.
Always.
There's always going to be something urgent. But how important it is to be able to really hear God's voice in the middle of the craziness and in the middle of you only have this many minutes to make a decision. Just make sure that you do listen to His voice. There are times that we are going to need to say no.
Yep. And that's okay.
It's okay. I've learned that with y'all as well, because I've always been a yes person. Just sure. And I have stretched myself
too thin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And just surround yourself. Look for, even before you start the process, or even looking for an agency. Surround yourself with people that are willing to be right there next to you through it all.
Yep. Well, thank you, Catalina. This is great. And I'm so proud of you. You did great.
Thank you.
There was no crying. There was no tears. There was no, like, you didn't fall apart. You did great. But today, you guys, thank you so much for listening to our next edition of Running Towards, when you just get to continue to hear these incredible stories of people and their journeys in the foster space. And literally none of them had looked the same. And so stay tuned. We have more coming for you each Wednesday. Thanks you.